Well, hello there. This is Craig Hane speaking, and my students call me Dr. Dell. I'm an old guy that's been studying math, learning math, teaching math, and applying math for many, many decades. And mathematics is what I call God's language, and you can do so much with math that you can't do with just ordinary language. Now, this video is for any student that may be studying math or any adult that wants to improve their life by learning some technical subject that requires math, because many people, maybe not you, but many people are afraid of math. They struggle with math. And even if you haven't, even if you like math, this is going to be for you, because all I want to tell you is math can be made fun and easy, but the first thing you need to do, and whenever I have a student of any age, the first thing I teach them to do is how to use a scientific calculator. Now, I've evaluated a lot of scientific calculators, and my favorite one is the Texas Instruments 30XA, small a. This calculator is phenomenal, and it'll do everything you'll ever need to do for practical math. And if you're going to go beyond practical math into science and engineering, you don't use a calculator. You use a modern tool called Wolfram Alpha. Well, that's another story. So the first thing you want to do is learn this calculator. Now, here's a problem with this calculator. If you count it up, it's got 35 keys, not counting the on-off key. And every one of those keys also has a second thing underneath it to do something. So altogether, this calculator has about 50 different things it'll do. Now, the facts are, for practical math, for the kind of math you're going to be learning in ordinary high school, algebra and geometry and so on, and trigonometry, if you go that far, which you should, you only need about anywhere from 12 to 15 of these functions. There's a whole bunch of stuff this calculator does that you'll never use. I'll guarantee you. All sorts of things it does you'll never use. So the question is, how do you learn the things that you really need to know? So I'm going to show you this video, what you should learn on this calculator. And then, of course, the question is going to be, how do you learn it? Now, the facts of the matter are, when you buy the calculator, it comes in a case like this, and you open up the calculator. Behind it is a user manual. And in this user manual, it teaches you what everything this calculator will do. Now, the problem most people have is they have a very hard time learning from this user manual. And more importantly, they don't know what to learn. If you're a beginner and you don't know, you're like, well, what should I learn? And there's so much of this that you'll never use that makes it quite challenging and difficult. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share the screen now, and I'm going to show you this training video on what you should learn from the calculator. And it turns out, if it's taught to you properly, it's very easy to learn. So I'm going to share the screen, and let me get down here and do that. And I'm going to take you to my website. My name, as I told you, is Craig Hane, CraigHane.com. You come to my website. There's a picture of me, and I have a vita there and my story, and you'll learn all about me. I have a PhD in math. I've been teaching math for decades at all levels, all the way from 7th grade through advanced math in graduate school and engineering school. There's a lot of free stuff on my website, and I also have products that I sell, training products, but I'm not going to talk too much about those in this video. This video is designed to teach you what to do about a calculator. Now, if you come down, there's 6 things here to look at. Triad Math Inc. is my main company that I founded, but we have something called Workforce Math, and that's something that, quite frankly, the first math that anybody should learn is practical math that you can use for the workforce. That's a foundation for all future math. Now, here's what I have. I have a 6-tier program that I sell, and it takes people all the way from the very basic math in the beginning, like you learned in the 7th or 8th grade, all the way through calculus and differential equations you need for science and engineering. It's 6 tiers. And I'm going to show you the syllabus for it, so you'll know what today I'm telling you should learn about the calculator. Because tier 1 is all about learning how to use a calculator. Now, I've been teaching hundreds and hundreds of students this, and what they'll find out is this is very easy to do. That, well, I can do this, is easy. Here's what you need to learn about the calculator. There's actually, until you get ready for trig, there's only 12 lessons. So out of all the things that calculator do, there's 12 things you need to learn. You need to learn how, obviously, to turn it on and off. Now, you need to learn how to fix the decimal point. You need to learn what's up in the display, degrees and memories things. Obviously, you're going to learn to subtract and add with that. You could do that with any calculator, and multiply and divide, and you have to understand negative numbers. You'll need to learn about percentages. You'll also need to learn how you can use the memory on this calculator to store things. This will help you when you do calculations, and also how to use a parentheses. So I have a lesson. Now, every one of these lessons, by the way, when I teach it, is a video, a tutorial video with exercises and notes and quizzes. But I'm just telling you what you need to learn. You need to learn how to use the x squared key, the square root key, what's called the reciprocal key, 1 over x. And one of the most important things this calculator does is fantastic, is fractions. Adds fractions, multiplies them, divides them, converts them into decimals, proper and improper. I mean, this calculator is phenomenal. Now, I'll tell you what, this alone is worth learning, just as these 12 lessons. If you're going to study trigonometry, and you should for practical math, and you'll find out in a minute, I'll tell you a little bit what you can learn that very quick and easy. There's keys for that. And so the next 4 keys here are for the trig keys. Now, altogether, this is all you need to know. There's a whole bunch of other stuff this calculator does that you'll never use. And I wouldn't teach you that. I wouldn't ask you to learn that. If I were you, I wouldn't want to learn it. Now, the problem is when you take the user manual, it'll teach you, if you can understand it, everything that this calculator will do. And that'll include these things, but it also includes a whole bunch of other stuff that you'll never use. So a lot of students will buy this calculator and never learn to use it. I can't tell you the number of students I've talked to that own this calculator and they don't know how to use it because, well, it's too complicated. It's too much. I don't know. What should I learn in it? Well, this is what you should learn. I'm telling you now. Now, you can learn it from the user manual if you take time to do it. I also believe that to really use a calculator properly, to do arithmetic, you need to understand the rules of arithmetic. Now, you should have learned these in elementary school. You should have learned these before you even start learning to use a calculator. And there's 10 lessons here. I call it pre-algebra. This is arithmetic you're going to use when you learn algebra. And I might point out that, again, I talk about squares and square roots and reciprocal, but I also now talk about exponents. That's extremely important in practical math. And there's a key on the calculator, y to the x key, that you need to learn to use. I use that key, by the way, probably more than any other single key on the calculator for things I'm doing practical. So that's what you need to learn, and that's what this video was about, to tell you to do that. Now, the question is, how do I learn it? The easiest way to learn it is if you can get a teacher, someone that understands the calculator, to show it to you, demonstrate it, have you do exercises. You're going to learn by doing. You're not going to learn by listening to somebody. You got to learn by doing. The teacher will teach you how to do a specific thing, and then you'll do it over and over, and pretty soon you learn it. You may have to come back and review it. I find I have a program, by the way, that teaches people how to use this calculator using an online tutorial program, and I find that most of my students can learn these 26 lessons, the 16 for the calculator and the 10 for pre-algebra. I'm talking about students now that are 12, 13, or older, or adults, in a couple of weeks. And the thing is they say it's easy. My golly, this was so easy. This can't be math. This is so easy. It is easy because you're learning the right things. There's things on this calculator that are not easy to understand. The log keys, the hypertrig keys, the statistics keys, all this hyperbolic trigonometry, logarithms, statistics, probability. There's a whole bunch of keys on this calculator that I don't think you need to learn. You might if you go into a specialty field and learn it then, but I'm talking about a beginner now. I'm talking about somebody in practical math. Now, what happened was, And the way I know all this, I've been teaching math for years, and I had a company for over 2.5 decades called Hane Training. And this was a company, then it became called Learn Maintenance. And we trained skilled tradesmen, technicians in military and industry for 2.5 decades. And hydraulics, pneumatics, electronics, fluid power, on and on. Had about 50 courses, technical courses. And what you had to have in all those courses was just what I'm telling you here. If you knew how to do the math, the courses were easy. If you didn't know how to do the math, the courses were impossible. Because if you're going to learn hydraulics or electronics or whatever, there's math involved. And you got to know the math. And if you can't do the math, you can't learn the concepts. So people were always amazed. I ended up training thousands. Our company, Hane Training, we ended up with about 30 instructors. We trained thousands and thousands of what they call skilled tradesmen. And what we were successful is we'd start out and we'd teach them how to do the practical math they needed to know. Now, we didn't always teach them all this because they didn't need to know. Depends on, we teach them at least the part they had to have. But this is what you need to do. You need to learn this. Now you may say, okay, Craig, I learned to use the calculator. Now what should I do with that knowledge? Well, depends on what you're doing in your life. But if you're going into any kind of technical field, landscaping, cooking, hydraulics, carpentry, technical field like hydraulics or pneumatics or rigging or whatever. We had about 50 different courses. And by the way, there's all kinds of jobs today out there, pay good money, that require technical knowledge. And if you don't have the math, you can't learn the technology. You need the math first. The math is the foundation of it. Okay. If you do that, then here's what you can do. I have a program. I don't know of anywhere else you can do that, but I've got a program that will teach you practical algebra and practical geometry and practical trigonometry. Those three subjects, you need them all three in about 3 or 4 months. And what makes them easy to learn is the calculator. You've already learned it now to do all the arithmetic. So how many, if you need practical algebra, how many lessons do you think it would be? If you've been in high school and you took Algebra 1 and maybe Algebra 2, but just did Algebra 1, you had a big, thick textbook, lots of stuff in it. I will tell you right now that much of the stuff they taught you was obsolete manual tools you'll never use or theoretical material you'll never use. Here's how many lessons you need for practical algebra. 10 lessons. That's all. And I have students that go through these 10 lessons and go, well, that was easy. I thought algebra was hard. No. But if you didn't know how to use a calculator, it would be hard, because if you had to do all the arithmetic manually, the way it's often taught, even today, it's difficult. The calculator makes it easy. This calculator, by the way, and this, I'll show you in a minute, this calculator costs somewhere between $10 and $20 today. It would have been worth $1 million during the Manhattan Project when they're doing the atomic bomb, because they had to apply practical algebra to all sorts of things, and then they had to do the calculations. Calculator would have made it easy. Now, algebra by itself isn't worth much. It's a tool, and you apply it to things. Well, the thing I like to apply it to for practical math is geometry. How long is something? What is the area? What is the volume? And that is 19 lessons. You can learn all the practical geometry you need for most technical fields, 19 lessons. And because you've got the algebra now and the calculator, it's easy to do. And people go through that, they go, my golly, that is so easy. And they usually go through the algebra and the geometry now in a matter of maybe 3 or 4 months, working an hour a day, 5 days a week, average. Now, algebra and geometry alone are not enough to deal with angles. And you got a lot of angles in technical subjects. If you can't deal with angles, you're in trouble. So you need a subject that scares people. The name scares people, called trigonometry. Now, trigonometry is a very deep subject for science and engineering, but for practical trigonometry, for the technical workforce, guess what? 7 lessons. The 8th lesson says trigonometry beyond practical math. So this is 7 lessons. And this is all the trig you need. And it's actually easier, well, as easy as learning the geometry. And again, it's because you've got the calculator. If you didn't have the calculator, trigonometry is quite difficult. You have to use what are called trig tables and look things up. The calculator makes it easy. So this is what I call practical math We also call it workforce math, getting ready for the workforce. And so I would urge you to buy one of these calculators. Now you say, well, what's the calculator going to cost me? Well, I went to Walmart and looked it up, and they've got here for 1082, but this turns out this is the TI-30X capital A, and that was one they had for years and years and years. And in fact, a lot of my training is on that one. And then they came out years later with the TI-30X small a. It's the same function, but a different keyboard. Now, the facts are they put the wrong picture above this. This is not the X capital A. This is the X little a. When I first looked at this, I thought, well, what's the deal here? This was $16 and this was $10, but they're the same calculator. Well, no, I looked down here. This is X capital A. So whoever did the Walmart page made a mistake. They didn't put the right picture here. It looked very similar, but the keyboard is different. The X small a has a better keyboard and a better display than the capital X. So buy that capital X small a. In this case for Walmart, it's $16.49. Used to be you could get it for about $10, but the price has gone up since COVID and inflation. So now they're $16. Or you can go to Amazon. By the way, you can go anywhere that sells calculators and probably buy it. This is the most popular calculator, by the way, for students taking the SAT and so on. Here it is on Amazon, the TI-30X little a. It's $31, but that's for a case of two. So I guess you get two of them for $31. So again, you're about $16 a piece. Well, somewhere between $10 and $20 is going to cost you if you don't have one. Now, you'll never need to buy another calculator, by the way. They have much more expensive calculators, graphing calculators, and calculators do all sorts of other things. You'll never need to buy one. And the reason is there's a new tool came out in 2009 that I teach in my 6 tiers called Wolfram Alpha, and it's all online, and it makes all the other more expensive calculators, in my opinion, obsolete, because it does everything they do and a lot more. So you just buy this calculator here and do it. And that's now the question then is, okay, Craig, Dr. Dell, I see, you can go to my website and download this PDF and study it. These are the things, if you're going to learn from the user manual on your own, or if you're going to hire somebody to teach you, this is what they should teach you. That you don't tell them, I don't want to learn all the other stuff I'll never use. I don't want to learn about hyperbolic trig functions and statistics and probability and all that other stuff. I just want to learn this. Okay, what it will cost you to hire a tutor to do it, I don't know, or somebody that knows. If you happen to have a friend that knows how to do it and has learned the calculator, maybe they'll teach you. That'd be great. It's much easier to learn if somebody will demonstrate it to you, give you some exercises to do. You do the exercises. That's how you learn. You learn by doing. You don't learn just by listening to somebody. I do have a program that I'm not going to tell you about on this video. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to teach you what to do. But in the video below this one, I will tell you about a program that is available that it'll probably amaze you as to what it is and how much it costs, that will let you learn the calculator. And I'll also at that same time tell you then how you can also go ahead, if you want to do so, and learn practical math. Very easy. And when you finish the practical math, what I call Tier 2 that I just showed you about, Tier 1 is learning the calculator. Tier 2 is the practical math, what I call workforce math. When you learn that, you're ready for the military, you're ready to go to tech school. In fact, you'll know more math than 95% of all of the high school graduates from public schools in the United States today. This is 2025 that I'm doing this video. Because they don't teach this. They teach a much more expanded curriculum that has all kinds of stuff in it that's difficult to learn and that you'll never use. It's terrible. In fact, I wrote a book called How and Why Public School Math is Destroying the USA. You can get a free PDF copy on my website, my free ebooks. You can get a free PDF copy. Buy it at Amazon for a little less than $5, but you can get a free PDF copy of it. So if you're interested in, you need to educate yourself about math. Math is the key. Mathematics, if you learn the right math, workforce math, that will open up many career paths where you can make a very good living doing something you enjoy doing. Instead of a job you don't enjoy, doing something just to make a paycheck, a job you do enjoy, that you do it, and they pay you good money to do it. I'd rather make $50 an hour doing something I love to do than $20 an hour doing something I don't like to do just to get a paycheck. About you. And that's what this is all about. So this is Dr. Dell. This is what I wanted to tell you. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I'm going to urge you to buy the calculator if you don't already have one. Don't, and that's just buy the one I told you about. Learn to use it, the things I taught you, however you learn them on your own with a user manual. Maybe get a friend to teach you. Maybe hire a tutor if you know someone. Or watch my video below, and you'll learn how you can probably get me as a tutor for, it's not free, but pretty darn close to it, okay? So this is Craig Hane, Dr. Dell. I wish you the best. There's no excuse now, based on what I've told you, to not go out and master practical math, get a good technical job if that's what you want to do, and have a wonderful career. So I urge you to do that. So best wishes to you, and I hope you have a wonderful, happy life the way I have, thanks to practical math. Bye-bye.